And we're live. Hi, this is Tatsu Ikeda with Real Progressives. The elections of 2018 are going to be a pivotal point in political history for American politics. And tonight we have a special guest, Cheri Honkala. Cheri is actually running right now. Her election is this year, 2017. Her election marks a foreshadowing of what's to come. Her and her fellow Green Party candidate, Kenneth Mejia, are running in their congressional districts. Cheri is from Philadelphia. She is a 30-year veteran of the movement, working on poverty. She was also the Green Party candidate for vice president in the year 2012. Please welcome to the show, Cheri Honkala. Cheri. Yes, sure. Thanks for being here. How's the campaign going in the final stretch?
Well, it's exhausting, but I'm very excited. I know that I'm going to win this thing. I only need about 1,500 votes. We're calculating now. So as long as we're organized and people continue to send in financial resources, we can win this thing. And this is going to be a victory, not just for the people of the 197th district. This is going to be a victory for all progressives.
That's amazing. So, feeling very confident at the moment. 1,500 votes or 1,500 more votes in the district?
Well, no, 1,500 votes.
1,500 votes will do it. Okay.
It'll do it.
All right.
I need everybody from the East Coast to join us here. You can sleep in my living room. You can sleep, at the surrounding churches. This is very, very important. We can concretely do some major things on March 22nd.
That's awesome. So now this is the 197th state district of Pennsylvania, inside of Philadelphia. Is that correct?
Yes, my district is actually the poorest district in the state of Pennsylvania, the 197th, and it's I say it represents an equality of misery here of poor Puerto Ricans, African Americans, and poor whites who struggle every day to try to figure out how to live. We have many things in common. Our kids have watched as their schools have closed. We've watched as people have been buried due to drug overdoses, and they've watched loved ones go to prison for selling drugs on the corner because there is no jobs. So I'm looking forward to putting a dent into all of those things. And the day after I'm elected, I'm going to drive around and pick up homeless people in the district and institute a zero tolerance on homelessness.
Zero tolerance on homeless. So that's part of your official election platform here, campaign platform, and that's awesome. So, oops, need to transition over here so the viewers can see me. And so you've been working on homelessness for 30 years. I've run over some of your history. You've experienced homelessness with your son, and you rose through. You've made it to the highest levels in independent politics as the vice presidential candidate. So if you don't mind, if we could take a couple minutes to just step back. You've always been with the Green Party. You started out this interview saying that this would be a victory for all progressives. What do you see in the coming year and 2018? Do you see Green Party's independence, Progressive Independent Party, the work that some of us do here at our Real Progressives? Do you think we can build a coalition to beat the monolith of the two-party system?
I think that I don't think it's a if. I think Rosa Clemente said it best, that it's an imperative. Either we get our act together figure out how to, develop the kind of coalitions to take on the, life and death issues that we're having to deal with now during this Trump era, or, literally the planet is at stake and our lives. Let's be honest. Every day that you turn on the television or the radio, I know that I'm in total fear and of just anything that comes out of the president's mouth these days, and the fact that all of us have not figured out how to get our act together and begin to work together and change things. That's even scarier.
Definitely, I have the same feeling. I wake up every day with a bit of dread, as to what's coming next. Just listen to Chris Hedges' speech that he delivered in Canada, and it clearly lays out the Trump agenda, what Steve Bannon has been sort of plotting for some time now, since 2003, the early 2000s. Dark days ahead. And on the other side, if you will, I don't believe Trump and Bannon to be actual Republicans, but sort of anarchists in a way. The elite anarchists of Trump and Bannon and their crazy ideas for how to make this world better in their mind view. The Democratic Party falling apart, not even trying anymore, as it seems. When, let's say, you've won this victory next Tuesday, how can you use your office to effectively reach out to disaffected voters? You live in a very diverse community. How can we reach out to the poor? Some of whom have been swayed by the false promises of a Trump administration.
Well, I think these are important questions. I know that this is going to be a different story here in the 197th. The 197th district is the real Hunger Games. If you want to look at the district taking on the Capitol, that's what's taking place here. And what's here is a sleeping giant, and that giant is waking up. And we're beginning to get organized. We love our kids. We're tired of burying people. And we know that very dark days are ahead if we don't organize to take back the district and take back our country. So that's what we're doing. And my office will be an office that will be open for all progressives. I don't care what party you come from. I don't care, what your background is, what your story is. I think that we have an opportunity to do something very different, and I call it, we need to begin to start practicing the politics of love, and that means no more of this, talking and talking, just having demonstrations, getting think tanks together and study groups to talk about how horrendous and how horrible things are. We need to be living the kind of lives and putting on paper and beginning to live out our vision of a different kind of world that we want to live in. And so that's why the day after I'm elected, as a formerly homeless mother, I'm going to drive around in a van with my staff. We're going to pick everybody up that's homeless. We're ending homelessness on March 22nd. And we're also going to use my office as a sanctuary city, that if the mayor and other Democrats decide to back down and no longer have Philadelphia as a sanctuary city, I will make my district a sanctuary district. And people will have to come into my office. ICE will have to come into my office. They'll have to go through my attorneys. But families will not be separated in the 197th district. So these are very concrete things that we can do. And we can begin to use my office in Harrisburg to do things like taking on fracking and taking on the anti-abortion bill, by ensuring that we close corporate tax loopholes and that we begin to fund housing. And we're preparing for, the $6 billion in cuts that are about ready to come down the pipeline as a result of the cuts to housing and urban development.
Right.
This is when the real revolutionary transformation either has to begin to happen in this country, or we're just really in trouble.
Right. So there are realistic, overarching concerns that affect the entire nation. You're trying to address on a local level issues that you see in your community that speak to a wider community. You're offering your office out to progressives of all kinds, and also your organizing base in Harrisburg. That's very generous of you. And so, as a Green Party member, I just wanted to maybe touch upon, how's the Green Party outlook going? I mean, there's always a bit of, this strategy should work, or last week it's Dem Enter, the week before it's Dem Exit. It's been Green Party for 25 years. The Green Party in Europe is actually having a lot of success. Do you have any sort of magic ball, crystal ball predictions as to?
Well, I think I've always said I'll work with anybody that wants to change the world, and not fall into the trappings of the two-party system, and is serious about addressing the root causes of many of the different social ills that we deal with, which is, at the end of the day, we know multinational corporations and and corporate greed over human needs. But I think that this last election, was another growing period for the Green Party. I think that I look at the Green Party similar to the birth of a child. It's going through its different stages of development, and that child is not, fully born yet. However, there's some real organizational things that are benefits to the Green Party. And, they've had to go through the establishment of, chapters and all the different states and bylaws and legal issues and money and all of those kinds of things. But of course, not everything is perfect about the Green Party either. But I come from a mother that is, she's a constant optimist. You could literally be, at a funeral, and my mother would be like, honey, let's figure out what is the lesson here, or
yeah,
it's a positive thing.
Sure, and, opportunity in amongst failure.
I'm really. We don't have time to cry or mourn or complain. We just really have to, as the saying goes, we have to be the change that we want to see. And so I'm much more of the thinking that, if I feel like the party doesn't have enough people of color in it, then I'm going to spend every waking hour making sure that I bring people of color into the party. Or if I don't feel like there's enough folks that are from other frontline communities, I'm going to be the one to change that.
Right.
So that's how I look at it right now. And, I'm also not one of those people where, I write a book, I develop a theory, and then history changes, and then I won't change it because I wrote a book.
Right.
I'll change with whatever's needed.
Right. I think there's a lot of people who want to sort of be the vanguard of the movement. Sometimes I feel it's like a little counterproductive. I support everyone's movement building, whatever organization they do it in. I personally, this show, our election, is here to highlight the campaigns and personal stories of candidates like yourself. You're a very established personality, if you will, in the movement, but I see dozens of people, progressives running as Republicans, progressives primarying Democrats, progressives running as independents, also as Greens. And I think it's important to try to see the forest through the trees, try to, I feel hopeful personally that there's going to be some information sharing and networking, not on a topical level, but actual, organizing that we could do together as a movement. So yeah, I see the struggles, and could you talk about, how you relate to the National Green Party at this point? Do they have any big initiatives coming up or events? I still see Jill, out there, and Ajamu and those folks and the co-chairs. But yeah, so anything about climate change, anything about money in politics or the economy, that these big issues that kind of stay on top of corporate power. I think we all have learned the lesson of corporate power by now, but there are a couple of things that trump money itself, and one is the economy, right? I'm sorry, the ecology. So how's the Green Party stance been developing on that? Any messaging coming out?
Okay, so there's a lot that's going on.
Yep.
One thing is, that the party is planning on, running slates, and I'm planning on helping make that happen in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see, entire groups of people running in local elections, from housing projects to farm workers to trailer parks, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
We are serious about teaching the importance in social movements about having an electoral arm. We can no longer just afford to march or just afford to participate in nonviolent civil disobedience. We have to enter the electoral arena as well. So it's kind of like playing the piano. I mean, I think that the Black Panther Party had something really right, and that's that they got it. They understood that you cannot just allow corporate America to make decisions and pass bills that have impact on our lives. So this is a new front of struggle, I think, for our movement in this country, and the rest of the world is cheering us on because they are so tired of us just sitting here and accepting in the year 2017 Pepsi and Coke and not having more than a two-party system. And so we have to catch up with the rest of the world. I mean, Finland has 15 different political parties. I mean, when are we going to grow up and play our part and really have other political options and parties in this country?
Right. Speaking of Finland, I believe it was one Nordic country that just had elections, and I believe the Green Party over there did pretty well. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, we're doing, the Greens are doing an amazing fighting back some of these fascists in all different parts of the world. And so people are waiting for us here in this country to do something about this guy that we have right now, who has impact on the entire world. I mean, our military and the dictators and everything, are taught and born and sent out to all other parts of the world. And so we really have a responsibility to do something about that. And we've also got to confront what I call, the nonprofit industrial complex, because the, Pepsi and Coke, Democrats and Republicans have a tendency to hide themselves and embed themselves in all these so-called progressive organizations, in which they just become, the puppets of fear. Whenever, the two-party system says, if you want to continue to get this money for your progressive, affordable housing program, then you're not going to take on fracking, or you're not going to take on whatever, because we'll get, money from the oil company, or we'll get money from, other dirty money from someplace else. And so somehow or another, we have to begin to get serious if we want independent politics in America. And if we want to support progressives, we're going to figure out how to finance that.
And small donations. I see a lot of campaigns out there accepting $27 as the default contribution level, and
I can accept money too right now.
Right. Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of comments supporting you. People out there knocking on doors and doing all the good frontline work that it takes to win an election like this.
I just learned about 2 seconds ago, because somebody handed me a piece of paper.
Yeah.
We had on this campaign, real amount of time, because it's a special election,
right,
over 2,000 small donations.
2,000 small donations. That's not bad, considering you only need 1,500 to win. So. Yeah,
and we've had Bernie Sanders, Our Revolution, and Tim Canova.
Right.
They've all endorsed. So I'm just so honored and excited.
That's a very important thing to point out to our viewers. Our Revolution, prior to Cheri, primarily all Democratic candidates. And Cheri is one of maybe the only one to receive endorsement from Our Revolution who is not a Democratic Party member. So, yeah. So maybe the walls are breaking down in terms of the different organizations within the movement. It's exactly what needs to happen. I feel as if this new era of cooperation between different groups allows us to be stronger, and then finally go out there and reach out to the national audience. And I believe we're fighting a two-front war when it comes to nationwide. We have the disaffected Trump voters, and then we have people on the East Coast and West Coast who are still mired in the results of the election, not dealing with reality, quite honestly, in terms of, listen, if you don't do something now, 2018 is going to be worse than 2016. I'm afraid a lot of people aren't getting that message. So it's really incumbent upon us who, people who claim to be awoke, to get it together and get out there nationally. So I see your endorsement from various groups is a very hopeful sign. So, and well deserved, considering your career.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I also want to say that I would be lying if I didn't say that our election is Tuesday, March 21st, this coming Tuesday.
Yep, 4 days.
And they're really trying to use a bunch of fear tactics and corruption. Right. And we're going to need everybody that's out there to watch what happens here, because if they try to steal this election, we're going to need as many progressives as possible to speak out and to put eyes on this process. and to support us. We're lining up attorneys, poll watchers, as many people that understand the importance of having voting integrity. So if you're, on the East Coast, if you can come into town on March 21st, we need you. We'll find some place for you to sleep. If you can't come, you can also go to my website at Cheri, CHERI197.com and make a financial contribution today. That'll help get somebody in the district who can't afford to take the day off of work or help with babysitters or whatever, participate in the political process.
Right. I actually have your website up on screen. Just to be clear, people, Real Progressives doesn't endorse candidates. We're not a political party, and we seek to support all candidates who are progressive. We wish all of them well, but there are no endorsements forthcoming here. We believe, our viewers are intelligent enough to make their own assessments of the people that we accept to be on the show. It's on screen there for you, and people, if you didn't catch that, you can rewind and catch that later. Just looking through the comments, people like the politics of love. They're really rooting for you, and I know you just have a couple moments. Any last message you'd like to get out to your supporters, and just express some reservations, anything that you're looking for at this moment?
I just want to say that I'm so proud of the people that I've been working with and that have been supporting me in this campaign. We're standing up and we're taking our country back in a real way. And we need all the support that we can possibly get in these coming days. So I want to thank you for having me on the show and for helping me lift up these issues.
Sure. Thank you, Cheri. It's very hectic. We got a little preview into it before the show went live. A lot of beehive of activity at campaign headquarters for Cheri Honkala. Wish you well, and we'll look forward to having you back and speaking about the 197 again, but also how, as we talked about tonight, how we can all work together, progressives of all stripes and colors and shapes. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you.
The 197.
Sure. Thank you. All right. Everyone at UpPLN, have a good night. This is Tatsu. Stay tuned for the 10 o'clock show with Zach Haller, and he'll be speaking about trending issues on Twitter, and that's coming up at 10. Thank you.